Okay, so what is going on? So this is a video I done on my gaming channel, but since I do have a bigger following, a bigger audience on the entertainment channel, I am going to be redoing the same video so the message can get out there a bit more. So if you are a gamer, if you are somebody that likes to live stream and you're having problems, technical problems with your PS4 and Xbox One when it comes to streaming, and you tried every method out there that's online to fix this problem and it doesn't work. I tried every method for me that's out there online, and a lot of it, for the most part, did not work. Well, to tell you guys the truth, what I think is going on and what I believe to be the truth for this is that Sony and Microsoft servers for the PS4 and Xbox One have been obsolete because they're moving a lot of their servers now, with new servers at that, to go towards the PS5 and the Xbox Series S. And the reason why they're doing that, because they think a lot of people right now have the PS5 or the Xbox Series S, and a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't. For example, I would like to get the PS5, but if you look on the GameStop website, or if you go in GameStop in person, or even online on Amazon, right, to even eBay, it is a $2,000 console. Right now, a lot of people don't have $2,000. There's a small group of people that do have the PS5 and the new Xbox. There's a bigger group of people that sadly do not, that still have the PS4. And even if you don't stream, you do like to hop in a party with your friends. And a lot of them, it doesn't matter if you're playing GTA 5 or Call of Duty, a lot of the servers, a lot of the service and parties are dropping out so much that Sony and Microsoft are now discontinuing their service for the PS5 and Xbox X. So, that's really unfortunate, because for me, I tried to live stream several times and I tried everything, and the connection and the connect just wasn't there anymore because the servers had been discontinued, and I had to restart completely over with Life is Strange 2. So I do believe I am going to have to go back and do pre-recorded gameplay for the PS4 for Life is Strange 2. And I'm going to have to start over again. I'm going to have to start over, because the servers for the PS4 and the Xbox One, are no longer in service. They have been discontinued, unfortunately. So for people that are seeing this video who are wondering why nothing's working, is because the servers on that, have unfortunately been discontinued by Sony and Microsoft. And the PS4 along with the Xbox X are only 5 years old. They're only 5 years old. Because if you take a look back at the PS3 and the Xbox 360, both of them consoles are 15, 16 years old. There's, Sony and Microsoft services for those consoles back when they came out, when they first introduced starting, live streaming or streaming with friends in a party per se, and be able, and of course, back then, yeah, you had to have several different things to hook up to the internet if you had a YouTube channel and you wanted to stream to those systems. But their services lasted for 14 years, because I think it was last year in 2020 or 2019 when they made the announcement that they were going to be discontinuing their servers for the PS3 and the 360. Now, I had a 360, and a lot of people were not excited about that news, because a lot of people, for example, who played Call of Duty or GTA 5, especially online, had so much going on those games that they had to restart over they had to start over from scratch when it came to their progress and where they got before, because they had to start over on the PS4. And a lot of people were sad, that the servers got discontinued when that announcement was made, because the servers for those systems lasted for a good 14 years, and them systems been around for at least 15 to 16 years. Unfortunately, them systems didn't age well when it came to value. A lot of the games, especially for the 360, didn't age well. I've done a video on my gaming channel talking about how much I got for the 360, which goes to show its low value point, because I bought it for $130, and once I played some games on it, it just didn't age well as a system like it used to be. And because of that, the value of it when selling it is only worth $12. Even going back to even give you a better example of truth of Sony and Microsoft discontinuing their servers for the PS4 and the Xbox One, is that you have that PS5 app, right? Or that Xbox One app, so you can transfer all your data, all your save progress to the PS5 or to the Xbox Series X, since the servers are now being discontinued on those systems. I'm curious to know, another 5 years from now, which would be 10 years, I'm curious if people are going to try to log back in to their account when playing GTA 5 and seeing if they can go into some parties and seeing if they can log into anything, because there's going to be a good majority, a chance that they may not be able to, because the servers have been discontinued. And I'm going to be curious to how well the PS4, aged. I really am. If you take a look at, going back, during certain systems like the PS2 or the Dreamcast, those had internet plug-in holes in the back of them. Now, none of us really knew at those times what the holes were for, because, back then when I was growing up, you didn't have to have internet or Wi-Fi hookups to your game system just in order to play a game, just in order to play your system. Back then, you bought the system, you could go and rent games until you got the money to be able to afford the games, and you were able to save your progress to a memory card. You know what I'm saying? You were able to save your progress to a memory card. You didn't have to worry about playing online. But I guess when it came to one of the Call of Duty games for the PS2 back in the day, I guess you could play online to an extent. When it came to online servers back then for the PS2, but not too many people knew about that, because, I think some of the internet stuff that was provided at the time was the late days of AOL and the early days of running through, I think, ChEDDER. I think you ran through ChEDDER, if I remember correctly, because you had MSN, the early days of Internet Explorer, and I believe Yahoo. The early days of those internet servers. When it came to the Sega Dreamcast, again, nobody knew about, you would be able to hook that up to a computer through a certain part of the internet. But, back then, the only game provided to do that was Sonic the Hedgehog. And back then you had to have AOL, which was known as dial-up. And again, the reason why nobody knew this is because, again, we never paid attention. But back then, when it came to, for example, right, dial-up and AOL back in the day, they hooked up your phone system to your internet system. It ain't like it is today, Now, back then, if you used a phone, you couldn't go on the internet. If you went on the internet, you couldn't use the phone. And your local library may have the old system hooked up to where you're probably, you're only allowed on the internet for an X amount of time, because it's going to have a time frame or a clock. Back then it was the same thing. It was the same thing. But just when it came to some older systems like the Sega, the Dreamcast, the PS2, you didn't need internet for those things, man, to try to play the system or to play a game like today. You need internet, you need a modem just to play a system and to play a game. It ain't like it used to be. When streaming was first introduced for games, a lot of people were doing it. A lot of people were doing it until the servers started changing. And that's when a lot more people started doing pre-recorded gameplay. And even now, you're seeing a lot more pre-recorded gameplay, coming back, because the servers have been discontinued again for the PS4 and the Xbox One. And I think that a lot of people may start even doing pre-recorded gameplay when the PS5, when a lot more people get it, and depending on how you can pre-record gameplay on there. I remember first being introduced to playing against people in a party on GTA 5. My friend Paul, who I haven't saw in a couple of years now, I don't know what happened to him. I don't even know if he's still alive. But he was playing GTA 5, and I'm like, what are those voices? Are those people? It's like, yeah, man, like you could play against other people live in a party. I'm like, in a party? Like, I just didn't understand. It's like, yeah, like you can now have internet running through the 360. What? And then the first time when I was introduced to watching Netflix back in the early days of its streaming app days, right? It was me, Paul, and my ex-best friend, Wayne. We were at my place, they were spending the night. And the first time for me, again, being introduced when it came to watching Netflix and it came to watching cartoon shows, being streamed through a system It was new, and I think it was Family Guy, followed up by American Dad, if I remember correctly. Like that was, like that to me, that was crazy. It's like, wow, because if you wanted to play, online, and I shared this story before about my history being introduced to gaming. Back then when I was growing up, again, game systems, you couldn't play against other people online, or in another state or in another country. Like, if you wanted to play against somebody you knew, you had to go over his house or he had to go over your house. You had to have at least 2 controllers back then, and you were able to play against each other. You know what I'm saying? But if you wanted to play online, you would have to have a PC. Yes, PC gaming. Back in the 90s, they had the early days of online gaming. Early 2000s, most definitely the early days of online gaming. You had a couple of video game websites where you could play online. Or just like the early days of Cartoon Network, you were able to play online with certain games. And I think the first time for me being introduced to playing against somebody online was when, I think it was after the first Pirates of the Caribbean game, or no, the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, or the second movie where they introduced the online game, and you were able to talk to people on there through keyboard. You were able to talk to people on there, by typing, and you could, make your own crew. You could, raid other ships, villages together. And that was my first time playing in a party or playing online against other players. And this is people from all over the world, I think my second time was 5 to 6 years ago on my nephew's Xbox. And I got to play GTA 5 online for the first time. It was new. It was really, really new. So, just a bit of history right there, a bit of backstory, if you will, when it comes to, I guess, my experience and history when it comes to playing online per se, and the first 2 game systems to be introduced to online streaming. I'm gonna have to upload that video for you guys when it comes to history of gaming for this channel. But with that being said, for you those that are wondering why you can't stream anymore, or why you're having a hard time doing it on the PS4, that is because Sony and Microsoft had discontinued their servers for the PS4 and the Xbox One. Everything now has been switched over to the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. So with that being said, I'm out. Peace.